Welcome to another episode. Today, we're diving deep into the intricate mechanisms that drive a country's economy to rise and fall. Economies are like living organisms, constantly evolving and responding to various internal and external stimuli. We'll explore how different factors contribute to economic growth and decline using historical events to illustrate these complex dynamics. So, sit back and let's embark on this enlightening journey together. Economic growth. Economic growth is the backbone of a nation's prosperity, representing an increase in the production of goods and services over a specific period. One of the most remarkable examples of economic growth can be seen in post-World War II Japan. After the devastation of the war, Japan's economy was in shambles. However, through a combination of factors, Japan experienced one of the most rapid periods of economic growth in modern history. Japan's economic miracle began in the 1950s and continued through the 1970s. The government played a crucial role by implementing policies that promoted industrialization and technological advancement. They focused on rebuilding infrastructure, investing in education, and fostering a competitive business environment. The Ministry of International Trade and Industry MITI was instrumental in guiding industrial policy, promoting key industries, and encouraging exports. One of the key drivers of Japan's economic growth was its emphasis on education and human capital. The government invested heavily in education, ensuring a highly skilled and knowledgeable workforce. This, combined with a culture of hard work and innovation, enabled Japanese companies to excel in various industries, particularly in manufacturing and technology. Another significant factor was Japan's focus on technological advancements. Companies like Sony, Toyota, and Honda became global leaders in their respective fields, driven by a relentless pursuit of innovation and quality. The integration of advanced technology into production processes increased efficiency and productivity, further fueling economic growth. Additionally, Japan's export-oriented trade policies played a crucial role in its economic success. By focusing on exporting high-quality products, Japan was able to generate substantial foreign exchange earnings, which were reinvested into further industrial development. The government also provided support to industries through subsidies and incentives, creating a favorable environment for growth. However, this period of rapid economic growth was not without challenges. In the late 1980s, Japan faced a speculative asset bubble, particularly in real estate and stock markets. When the bubble burst in the early 1990s, it led to a prolonged period of economic stagnation known as the Lost Decade. Despite the setback, the lessons learned from Japan's economic miracle continue to influence economic policies worldwide. Industrialization. Industrialization is a transformative process that changes the economic structure of a country, shifting from an agrarian-based economy to one dominated by industry and manufacturing. One of the most significant examples of industrialization is the Industrial Revolution in Britain during the 18th and 19th centuries. The Industrial Revolution marked a major turning point in history. It began in the late 1700s and was characterized by a series of innovations that transformed production processes. The introduction of machinery, such as the spinning jenny and the steam engine, revolutionized textile manufacturing and other industries. These technological advancements increased production capacity and efficiency, leading to significant economic growth. The development of the factory system was a cornerstone of industrialization. Factories centralized production, bringing together large numbers of workers and machinery under one roof. This shift from cottage industries to factory-based production created economies of scale, reducing costs and increasing output. The rise of factories also led to urbanization as people moved from rural areas to cities in search of employment. The impact of industrialization on society was profound. It created new job opportunities and contributed to the rise of the middle class. However, it also brought challenges such as poor working conditions, child labor, and environmental pollution. The rapid growth of industrial cities led to overcrowding and unsanitary living conditions, prompting calls for social and labor reforms. Britain's industrialization was fueled by several factors. The country had abundant natural resources, including coal and iron ore, which were essential for industrial production. Additionally, Britain's colonial empire provided access to raw materials and markets for manufactured goods. The development of a robust banking and financial system also facilitated investment in industrial ventures. The success of industrialization in Britain inspired other countries to follow suit. In the United States, industrialization began in the early 19th century and accelerated after the Civil War. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad, along with innovations in manufacturing and transportation, contributed to the rapid growth of industries such as steel, oil, and textiles. While industrialization brought economic prosperity, it also highlighted the need for regulation and social protections. Labor unions emerged to advocate for workers' rights, leading to improvements in wages, working hours, and safety standards. Governments eventually implemented regulations to address environmental pollution and ensure fair labor practices. The legacy of industrialization is evident in today's global economy. It laid the foundation for modern industrial practices and set the stage for further technological advancements. The principles of mass production, specialization, and innovation continue to drive economic growth and development worldwide. Trade policies. Trade policies are crucial in shaping a country's economic landscape by determining how it engages in international trade. A historical example that highlights the impact of trade policies is the rise and fall of the British Empire's mercantilist system. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Britain adopted mercantilism as its dominant economic policy. Mercantilism emphasized the accumulation of wealth through trade surpluses, where exports exceeded imports. The British government implemented a series of trade regulations and tariffs to protect domestic industries and promote exports. This included the Navigation Acts, which restricted foreign ships from trading with British colonies, ensuring that trade benefited the British economy. Under mercantilism, Britain's colonies played a crucial role. They provided raw materials to the mother country and served as markets for British manufactured goods. The colonies were prohibited from producing goods that competed with British industries, creating a favorable trade balance for Britain. This policy contributed to the growth of British manufacturing and the accumulation of wealth. However, the mercantilist system faced challenges and criticisms. It led to economic imbalances, as colonies were restricted in their economic development and forced to rely on British goods. This created tensions and resentment among the colonies, ultimately contributing to the American Revolution. The colonies sought economic independence and the ability to trade freely with other nations. The decline of mercantilism and the rise of free trade marked a significant shift in economic policies. In the 19th century, Britain embraced free trade principles, advocating for the removal of trade barriers and tariffs. The repeal of the Corn Laws in 1846, which had imposed high tariffs on imported grain, was a landmark event in the move towards free trade. This policy shift was driven by the belief that free trade would promote competition, lower prices, and benefit consumers. The adoption of free trade policies had a profound impact on the global economy. It facilitated the exchange of goods and services between nations, leading to increased economic interdependence. Countries specialized in producing goods where they had a comparative advantage, resulting in greater efficiency and productivity. The expansion of international trade contributed to economic growth and the spread of industrialization. However, the benefits of free trade were not evenly distributed. Some industries and workers faced challenges from increased competition and the loss of protected markets. This led to debates about the need for trade protection and the impact of globalization on domestic economies. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of protectionist sentiments, with some countries advocating for tariffs and trade barriers to protect local industries. Trade policies continue to be a critical aspect of economic strategy. They shape the flow of goods, services, and capital between nations, influencing economic growth and development. The balance between free trade and protectionism remains a key consideration for policymakers as they navigate the complexities of the global economy. Technological advancements. Technological advancements are a driving force behind economic growth and development. One of the most transformative periods of technological progress occurred during the late 20th and early 21st centuries with the rise of the information technology revolution. The IT revolution began in the latter half of the 20th century, driven by innovations in computing, telecommunications, and the internet. The development of the microprocessor in the 1970s paved the way for personal computers, making computing power accessible to individuals and businesses. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, and IBM played pivotal roles in advancing computer technology and software development. The internet revolutionized communication and information exchange. The creation of the World Wide Web in the early 1990s by Tim Berners-Lee opened up new possibilities for accessing and sharing information. The proliferation of the internet led to the growth of e-commerce, online services, and digital platforms. Companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook emerged as global giants, reshaping industries and economies. The impact of technological advancements on productivity and economic growth was profound. Automation and digitalization transformed various sectors, including manufacturing, finance, healthcare, and education. Businesses could streamline operations, reduce costs, and reach global markets with ease. The integration of technology into supply chains and production processes increased efficiency and competitiveness. One of the key drivers of the IT revolution was innovation in communication technologies. The development of mobile phones and later smartphones revolutionized how people connected and accessed information. The advent of cell phone networks enabled high-speed internet access, facilitating the growth of mobile applications and services. Technological advancements also had a significant impact on the labor market. The demand for skilled workers in IT and related fields surged, leading to the creation of new job opportunities. However, it also posed challenges, such as the displacement of workers in traditional industries and the need for continuous upskilling and reskilling to keep pace with technological changes. The rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning marked another milestone in technological advancement. AI technologies have the potential to revolutionize industries by automating complex tasks, analyzing vast amounts of data, and improving decision-making processes. From autonomous vehicles to personalized healthcare, AI is set to transform various aspects of life and work. However, the rapid pace of technological change also raised concerns about data privacy, cybersecurity, and ethical considerations. The digital economy relies heavily on data, and protecting sensitive information became a critical issue. Governments and organizations must address these challenges to ensure the responsible and sustainable use of technology. The IT revolution continues to shape the global economy, driving innovation and creating new opportunities. The integration of emerging technologies such as blockchain, quantum computing, and the Internet of Things holds the promise of further transforming industries and economies. The ability to harness and leverage technology will be a key determinant of economic success in the future. Financial markets. Financial markets are integral to the functioning of an economy, providing a platform for the exchange of capital and facilitating investment. The 2008 global financial crisis is a stark reminder of the impact that financial markets can have on the economy. The crisis began in the United States with the collapse of the housing bubble. Leading up to the crisis, there was a surge in housing prices fueled by easy access to credit and lax lending standards. Financial institutions engaged in risky practices, such as issuing subprime mortgages to borrowers with poor credit histories. These mortgages were bundled into complex financial instruments known as mortgage-backed securities and sold to investors worldwide. When housing prices began to decline, many homeowners found themselves with mortgages worth more than the value of their homes, leading to widespread defaults. The collapse of major financial institutions like Lehman Brothers in September 2008 triggered a global financial panic. Banks faced severe liquidity shortages, and the interbank lending market froze, causing a credit crunch. Governments and central banks around the world responded with unprecedented measures to stabilize the financial system. The U.S. Federal Reserve implemented aggressive monetary policies, including lowering interest rates and implementing quantitative easing to inject liquidity into the economy. Governments provided bailouts to troubled financial institutions and introduced stimulus packages to support economic recovery. The impact of the financial crisis was profound, leading to a severe recession. Unemployment rates soared, businesses closed, and millions of people lost their homes. The crisis highlighted the interconnectedness of global financial markets and the risks associated with complex financial instruments. In the aftermath of the crisis, regulatory reforms were implemented to strengthen the financial system. The Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act in the United States introduced measures to increase transparency, improve risk management, and prevent future crises. Similar reforms were adopted in other countries to enhance financial stability and protect consumers. The financial crisis underscored the importance of sound financial regulation and oversight. It also prompted a reevaluation of the role of financial markets in the economy. While financial markets are essential for facilitating investment and economic growth, excessive risk-taking and inadequate regulation can have devastating consequences. The recovery from the financial crisis was slow and uneven. Central banks continued to play a critical role in supporting economic growth through accommodative monetary policies. The lessons learned from the crisis influenced the approach to financial regulation and the management of systemic risks. The global financial system remains complex and interconnected, with ongoing challenges and opportunities. Technological advancements, such as fintech and digital currencies, are transforming financial markets and creating new avenues for investment. Ensuring the stability and resilience of financial markets will be crucial for sustainable economic growth in the future. Political stability. Political stability is a critical factor in determining a country's economic performance. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 provides a powerful example of how political instability can lead to economic upheaval. The Soviet Union was a superpower with a centrally planned economy. For decades, the government controlled all aspects of economic production and distribution. However, by the late 1980s, the Soviet economy was stagnating, burdened by inefficiency, corruption, and a lack of innovation. Political and social unrest was growing, fueled by demands for greater freedom and economic reform. In 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev became the General Secretary of the Communist Party and introduced policies of glasnost and perestroika to address the economic and political issues. Glasnost aimed to increase transparency and freedom of expression, while perestroika focused on economic reforms to decentralize and modernize the economy. Despite these efforts, the reforms were met with resistance from entrenched interests and failed to produce immediate economic improvements. The liberalization of political and economic systems led to increased demands for independence from various Soviet republics. Nationalist movements gained momentum, and ethnic conflicts erupted in several regions. The turning point came in August 1991, when a coup attempt by hardline Communist Party members aimed to overthrow Gorbachev and restore the old order. The coup failed, but it exposed the deep divisions within the Soviet leadership and accelerated the dissolution of the Soviet Union. By December 1991, the Soviet Union was formally dissolved, and 15 independent republics emerged. The collapse of the Soviet Union had profound economic and social consequences. The transition from a centrally planned economy to a market-oriented system was chaotic and painful. Industries collapsed, inflation soared, and living standards plummeted. The economic turmoil was exacerbated by political instability and conflicts in several of the newly independent states. However, the end of the Soviet Union also opened up opportunities for economic reform and integration into the global economy. Some countries, like the Baltic states, embraced market reforms and achieved significant economic growth. Others, such as Russia, faced prolonged economic challenges but eventually stabilized and pursued market-oriented policies. The experience of the Soviet Union highlights the critical importance of political stability for economic development. Political instability can disrupt economic activities, undermine investor confidence, and lead to social unrest. Conversely, stable and inclusive political systems provide a conducive environment for economic growth and development. Today, political stability remains a key consideration for economic policymakers. Countries with stable political systems tend to attract more investment, foster innovation, and achieve sustainable economic growth. Ensuring political stability requires effective governance, respect for the rule of law, and mechanisms for peaceful conflict resolution. Resource management. Effective resource management is crucial for the sustainable development of a country's economy. One of the most illustrative examples of resource management impacting an economy is the story of Norway and its oil wealth. Norway discovered significant oil reserves in the North Sea in the late 1960s. The government recognized the potential economic benefits of this resource and adopted a strategic approach to manage it. Instead of allowing unchecked exploitation, Norway implemented policies to ensure that oil wealth would benefit the entire nation and future generations. The Norwegian government established the principle of state ownership and control over oil resources. Statoil, a state-owned company, was created to manage oil production and ensure that the profits from oil remained within the country. The government also imposed high taxes on oil companies, ensuring a significant share of the revenues flowed into public coffers. To manage the oil wealth prudently, Norway created the Government Pension Fund Global, commonly known as the Oil Fund, in 1990. The fund was designed to invest surplus oil revenues in a diversified portfolio of international assets. The primary goal was to shield the economy from the volatility of oil prices and ensure long-term financial stability. The Government Pension Fund Global has grown to become one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, with assets exceeding $1 trillion. The fund's investments generate returns that contribute to public finances, supporting government spending on education, healthcare, infrastructure, and social welfare. By saving and investing a significant portion of its oil revenues, Norway has created a buffer against economic fluctuations and secured the financial future of its citizens. Norway's approach to resource management stands in stark contrast to the experiences of some other resource-rich countries. The resource curse is a phenomenon where countries with abundant natural resources experience slower economic growth, political instability, and corruption. This often occurs when resource wealth is mismanaged, leading to over-reliance on a single sector, neglect of other industries, and unequal distribution of wealth. Norway's success can be attributed to its commitment to transparency, good governance, and long-term planning. The government has implemented strict regulations to ensure environmental protection and sustainable resource extraction. Public participation and oversight mechanisms have also played a crucial role in maintaining accountability and preventing corruption. The Norwegian model of resource management serves as a valuable lesson for other countries. It demonstrates the importance of forward-thinking policies, prudent financial management, and a commitment to equitable distribution of wealth. By investing in human capital and infrastructure, Norway has diversified its economy and reduced dependence on oil. As the global economy transitions to renewable energy sources, the challenge of resource management remains relevant. Countries rich in natural resources must navigate the shift to sustainable energy while ensuring economic stability and growth. Norway's experience provides a roadmap for how resource wealth can be harnessed for the benefit of all citizens and future generations. Education systems. Education systems play a vital role in shaping a country's economic development. The case of South Korea is a remarkable example of how investing in education can drive economic growth and transformation. In the aftermath of the Korean War in the early 1950s, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world. The government recognized that human capital development was essential for economic recovery and growth. A strong emphasis was placed on education, with significant investments in building schools, training teachers, and expanding access to education for all citizens. South Korea's commitment to education was reflected in its policies and reforms. The government implemented compulsory education laws, ensuring that all children received at least a basic education. Scholarships and financial aid programs were introduced to support students from low-income families. The curriculum was reformed to focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects, preparing students for the demands of a modern economy. The results of these efforts were transformative. South Korea rapidly increased its literacy rates and produced a highly skilled workforce. The focus on STEM education laid the foundation for the development of advanced industries, such as electronics, automotive, and information technology. Companies like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG became global leaders, driving economic growth and innovation. Higher education also played a crucial role in South Korea's economic success. The government established and expanded universities and research institutions, fostering a culture of innovation and research. Collaboration between academia and industry facilitated the transfer of knowledge and technology, further enhancing productivity and competitiveness. The impact of education on South Korea's economy was profound. From the 1960s to the 1990s, the country experienced rapid economic growth, transitioning from an agrarian economy to a high-tech industrial powerhouse. South Korea's GDP per capita increased significantly, and the country achieved a high standard of living. Education also contributed to social mobility and equality. Access to quality education provided opportunities for individuals to improve their economic prospects and escape poverty. The focus on education helped create a meritocratic society, where talent and hard work were rewarded. However, South Korea's education system also faced challenges. The intense focus on academic achievement led to high levels of stress and competition among students. The pressure to excel in exams and gain admission to top universities created a demanding and sometimes unhealthy educational environment. The government has since introduced measures to address these issues, promoting a more balanced and holistic approach to education. The experience of South Korea underscores the critical role of education in economic development. Investing in education creates a skilled workforce, drives innovation, and enhances productivity. It also promotes social cohesion and equality, contributing to overall national well-being. As countries navigate the challenges of the 21st century, the importance of education cannot be overstated. Rapid technological advancements and the changing nature of work require continuous learning and adaptation. Governments must prioritize education and invest in systems that provide quality education for all citizens, preparing them for the future economy. Labor market. The labor market is a fundamental component of a country's economy, determining the availability of jobs, wages, and working conditions. The Great Depression of the 1930s provides a stark example of how labor market dynamics can impact economic stability. The Great Depression was triggered by the stock market crash of 1929, leading to a severe economic downturn. Unemployment rates soared as businesses closed and production declined. In the United States, unemployment reached nearly 25% at its peak, leaving millions of people without jobs and income. The collapse of the labor market had devastating effects on individuals and families. Many people lost their homes, savings, and access to basic necessities. The widespread unemployment created a sense of despair and hopelessness, leading to social unrest and political instability. In response to the crisis, governments implemented a series of measures to stabilize the labor market and support economic recovery. In the United States, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of programs and policies aimed at providing relief, recovery, and reform. The New Deal included initiatives such as public works programs, which created jobs through infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, and schools. The Civilian Conservation Corps and the Works Progress Administration provided employment opportunities for millions of people, reducing unemployment and stimulating economic activity. Labor market reforms were also a key component of the New Deal. The Wagner Act of 1935 established the right of workers to form unions and engage in collective bargaining. This legislation empowered workers to negotiate for better wages, working conditions, and job security. The Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 introduced minimum wage laws, maximum working hours, and regulations to protect workers' rights. The labor market policies of the New Deal had a significant impact on the economy. They provided immediate relief to those affected by the Depression and laid the foundation for long-term economic recovery. The creation of jobs and the improvement of labor conditions contributed to increased consumer spending and economic growth. The Great Depression also highlighted the importance of social safety nets. The Social Security Act of 1935 established a system of unemployment insurance, pensions, and disability benefits, providing a safety net for vulnerable populations. These measures helped to reduce poverty and provide economic security for millions of people. The experience of the Great Depression underscores the critical role of the labor market in economic stability and growth. A well-functioning labor market ensures that people have access to jobs, fair wages, and safe working conditions. It also supports social cohesion and reduces inequality. Today, labor market dynamics continue to be a key consideration for policymakers. The rapid pace of technological change, globalization, and demographic shifts are transforming the nature of work. Governments must adapt labor market policies to address these challenges, ensuring that workers are equipped with the skills needed for the future economy and that labor rights are protected. Inflation. Inflation is a key economic indicator that reflects the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises, eroding purchasing power. The hyperinflation in Zimbabwe during the late 2000s is a dramatic example of the devastating effects of uncontrolled inflation. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation crisis began in the early 2000s and reached its peak in 2008. The government's decision to embark on land reform, redistributing land from white commercial farmers to black Zimbabweans, led to a collapse in agricultural production. This, combined with economic mismanagement, corruption, and political instability, triggered a severe economic crisis. The government's response to the economic challenges was to print more money to cover its expenses and pay off debts. This excessive money supply, without corresponding economic growth, led to runaway inflation. Prices of goods and services skyrocketed, and the value of the Zimbabwean dollar plummeted. Hyperinflation had catastrophic effects on the economy and society. Basic necessities such as food, fuel, and healthcare became unaffordable for most people. The savings and pensions of Zimbabweans were wiped out, leading to widespread poverty and suffering. Businesses struggled to operate in an environment of rapidly changing prices, leading to closures and job losses. At the height of hyperinflation, Zimbabwe's inflation rate reached an astronomical level, estimated at 79.6 billion% month-on-month in November 2008. The government eventually abandoned the Zimbabwean dollar in 2009 and allowed the use of foreign currencies, such as the US dollar and the South African rand, to stabilize the economy. The experience of hyperinflation in Zimbabwe highlights the critical importance of sound monetary policy and fiscal discipline. Inflation can erode purchasing power, create uncertainty, and undermine economic stability. It disproportionately affects the most vulnerable populations, leading to increased poverty and inequality. The control of inflation is a primary objective of central banks worldwide. By managing interest rates and regulating the money supply, central banks aim to maintain price stability and support economic growth. The adoption of inflation-targeting frameworks has become a common approach to achieve these goals. The experience of Zimbabwe also underscores the importance of good governance and economic management. Political stability, transparent institutions, and effective economic policies are essential for maintaining confidence and stability in the economy. Ensuring that fiscal policies are sustainable and that monetary policies are aligned with economic realities is crucial for preventing inflationary spirals. Inflation remains a key challenge for policymakers, particularly in the context of global economic uncertainties and shocks. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, has led to significant disruptions in supply chains and economic activity, impacting inflation dynamics. Central banks and governments must remain vigilant and responsive to changing economic conditions to ensure price stability and support economic recovery. As we wrap up this deep dive into the factors that drive the rise and fall of economies, we see a complex interplay of elements such as economic growth, industrialization, trade policies, technological advancements, financial markets, political stability, resource management, education systems, labor markets, and inflation. Each of these components plays a critical role in shaping a nation's economic destiny. By understanding these dynamics, we can better appreciate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for economies around the world. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more insightful discussions on complex topics. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.